I have a personal question. Um, so you're talking about how, like your neck, can you, can that cause like tightening of the neck? Like if your vagal tone is like low?
Hi, I'm Michael Westgate. Thank you for joining me. I've helped people with chronic pain for over 2 decades. I aim to help you say goodbye to pain and hello to a fully lived life. Oh, yes, exactly. So any sort of tension in the vagal system, so that I mean vagal system, I mean anywhere the vagus nerve goes, right? So it actually is associated with the 10th cranial nerve, which is the upper shoulders. And that's why when people are in primitive states that their shoulders are like this, and it's like, when you try to massage them, it feels like beef jerky
Huh.
because they're so in that survival state. And that same with the front of the throat too. Again, that's why I think that sometimes massaging the front of the throat helps vagal tone, because you've got all this restriction around the poor vagus nerve, and it's giving a danger signal to the nervous system, just like when I talked about the cranial nerves in the head. I mean, part of my work in my office is that I know that any restriction anywhere is a potential trigger for the nervous system. Now, it depends on the person. It doesn't mean it is, but it means it could be. And especially in any of the pathways of the vagus nerve, right? So you have the gut, you have the lungs, the diaphragm, you have in between the ribs, you have the chest, you have upper shoulders, face, neck, right? All these are directly related to the vagus system. And then there's other peripheral nerves all over the body that, again, if it's in this tight grip, then it's going to send this emergency signal down to the central nervous system, which is the place where chronic pain is regulated and over-reported often. And that makes everything worse because you're basically squirting kerosene into the fire rather than making it go down. Um, does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah, because I've been experiencing like pain like here, and like I feel like if
Mm.
I swallowed a ball, and I think it's like stress related, like that
Yep.
feeling of you have something and then like tightening, like kind of like when you were saying about like sometimes when you want to drink water or like eat, kind of you're almost like resistant. I've been experiencing that. Actually, it's not the first time I experienced it, but I think I wasn't aware of it. Now I can really like the awareness. I was like, I've been wanting to ask you, like, that it's
That's
really
that's
weird.
a sign. Yeah. And I would recommend both massage and I don't know if have you someone that sings?
If I'm really in the play state, I will. But
You could humming
yeah,
counts.
okay.
So those are things I'd recommend. I mean, the truth is that anything you can do to reset your system. But the other thing that I've discovered with the body, because I'm so body centric in my knowledge, is that if you're in a survival state long enough, your body gets locked into these
Hmm.
patterns that sometimes need physical contact to reset because the tissue is actually solidified in a certain posture. And so if you can massage different body parts, there's all kinds of tools that one can use, including just a good athletic ball, like a lacrosse ball. And often the pressure and the release both will help activate parasympathetic response. So in the good way, but not the survival way. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned it because yes, that's a sign of low vagal tone. That's a sign of your systems feeling overloaded. Maybe you don't have enough downtime, or I mean, who knows what it is for you? But it could be that you have a new environment that is hard to navigate in some ways, right? You're away from home in an unusual environment, a different culture that matters too. No matter how open-minded any of us are, being in a different culture is difficult because you don't have these associations that show up that you're used to, that kind of, oh yeah, this is my environment. Oh yes, this is my culture. Oh yeah. And then instead there's all these other things going out. You're like, okay, that's unusual. That's unusual. That's unusual. And then after a while, you're like, okay, I think I have to go, watch one of the old Top Gun movies to feel like I'm, you know, it actually happened to be, but I was in Italy back in school, back in college. And part of one of my breaks I went to Naples because it was during Christmas. A classmate invited me. She goes, "Are you going home?" And I'm like, "No." And she goes, "Well, my family's army," and she goes, "and they're stationed in Naples, and you're welcome to come and stay with us during part of the holiday. And I was like, thank you. And one day they said, we're going out. Do you want to come? And I actually didn't. I was so burnt out. And I was downstairs in the TV room and I watched Top Gun and ate cranberry cake. And it was so wonderful to just be in a familiar, and familiar food, familiar furnishings and people, and a familiar movie. And that did me wonders, man. That was like therapy. So
Nice.
so
Thanks for
you might
sharing.
consider that for yourself. You might want to spend time watching a mini series, or I don't know what it is for you. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That helps you feel like you have contact with the culture that you're so used to. If you found this content helpful, please like and subscribe. You can look forward to more videos about how to overcome chronic illness and chronic pain.